time element.
Mm-hmm.
The time element is, I mean, you got 2 kids,
Mhm.
and you know that with 2 kids the age of yours, being at home and being a parent is not a passive job.
No.
It is it's the quite opposite of it. So you got to do 10, 12 hours a day being, this guy.
Yes.
But then you got to be that guy for them.
Right.
So it's not easy.
No, I mean
And if I didn't have somebody, I don't know if I could do it.
No. So you mentioned running with the opportunity.
Yeah.
And I feel like there was a moment for me, and I would imagine a lot of the audience as well, and perhaps your co-hosts and whatnot, where I wonder if I could pinpoint. I got to give it some thought and think about if there was a piece of content or a moment where I realized it. But it definitely started out as like, all right, this is like a joke. This is a stunt. And Dave has been known to do this, and he's brought in some people.
I know that.
And a lot of times those people are, don't do anything, and they're there to, we laugh with and sometimes at, and it's really it. So were you getting that vibe early on? People were not taking you seriously? Or
let's
people
lay it out on the table. I was hired as a stunt.
Right.
There's no, was it maybe a stunt?
No, that's definite.
That was a stunt.
Yeah.
That was
he knew nothing about you. It couldn't have been anything other than that.
That was just a play. He had the eyes of everybody looking on him. How funny would it be if I hired this guy from these people? And I remember the night, it was a Tuesday night, or it was a Tuesday afternoon when I went ahead and I did the show, and all the stoolies came and introduced themselves to me so very graciously, and I to them. And we had kids softball that night. My 10-year-old had a softball game. I was coaching it.
Oh, Jesus.
And I was sitting, I went live at 5 o'clock, and at 6:30 I'm coaching. And I just remember being on that field and not really being on that field because of thinking, wow, there were like 1,000 people there today, and that shit got crazy. And then I
at that point, what was an average viewership for you like?
50.
And we're talking.
I was looking at 50, 75, and I went live, and there were 1,200 people.
Yeah, like,
you know what?
The fuck is this?
You know what? Actually, this is a side, look into my brief ego, but I saw 1,200, and I was like, finally.
I did it.
Finally. Well, I built this show. It took 6 weeks, but here they are. But that night, I just couldn't. I just remember thinking, boy, they're going to be there again tomorrow. Am I going to have to go there again tomorrow? Because I don't want, when it happened, I didn't think.
Yeah.
I didn't have time to think. It just happened. But then I was sitting there watching my girl play softball, and I'm thinking, am I going to have to go out in front of that executioner line tomorrow? And about 3 o'clock the next day, Dave blogged, I should hire this guy. And right after the blog hit, I got a DM from Dave, I want to hire you. And I said, okay, hire me. And that's where everything changed.
I remember the tweet from you. I now work for Barstool.
I now work for Barstool Sports, which is a complete, again, it's a stunt.
Yeah.
It's a joke.
Right.
Dave Portnoy, he gave me the offer, which is a standard offer that a lot of first-year talent receive. He told me that, and I knew in his head, I'll give him this year contract. In a year,
see you later.
See you later. And he didn't know that when I got that year contract, I decided it ain't gonna be a year contract. I'm gonna make this I'm gonna make this guy.
No, say whatever you want.
I'm gonna make this motherfucker know that I'm coming. And anything I can get my hands on, I'm gonna do. After he hired me, I worked for Barstool Sports. I went live. I did a walk the line, and it was received very, very well. And I think I coined Brandon fucking Walker in that walk the line. I said it, and about 3 hours later, I sat down on my computer and I emailed, okay, you hired me as a joke, but here's what you got. And I laid out.
Interesting.
I laid out what I could do. I laid out college football. I laid out gambling. I laid out 4 or 5 show ideas. And
so you basically had your job interview after getting the job.
Correct. And he emailed me back after that, and he just emailed, wow. That's all he emailed, which I imagine he was thinking, like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
But it was like, because it was a significant list of things I sent him back.
Well,
and then he was like, okay, we'll start working on some of this.
As a guy who has been around, conversing with Dave for, over a decade now, his email skills or demeanor over email he's very brief. He's very, quick. A lot of times people think he's angry or, a lot of times he is.
He says the one line he wants to say, and that's it.
That's it. But, like, that wow
yeah.
is significant because even just getting him to respond sometimes was too much. And that wow, I would imagine, if I could interpret it, was something like, holy shit, this guy isn't a joke.
I thought it was At the time, I took it like, well, I shouldn't have sent all that much because I look like a try-hard. And he was going like, wow, okay, chill out.
No,
that's how I took it at the time.
No, I get that, but
Yeah.
I think that try hard is a term that of course, I understand the meaning of it.
Yeah.
But when you look around the rest of the industry, some people don't fucking try hard.
If you hire a guy and he's a try-hard, that's a pretty good sign.
You want that.
Yeah.
You don't want try hard with humor. You don't want try hard with your personality, but with your work ethic, abso-fucking-lutely. Was there so you send that email, you start to do Walk the Line, you start to make appearances here and there.
Yeah.
Was there a turning point with you where you felt like, because at that point I'm sure the audience is still thinking like we're laughing at and not with,
well, not just
or
the
whatever.
audience. Not just, I assumed. See, what I assumed was people inside Barstool saw it as the same way.
Yes,
which I'm
we
sure
did.
that you
We
did.
did.
And my first goal was to lay out what I could do for Dave, what I could do as a personality. My second goal was to become a part of the company. So if you notice, you probably didn't notice, but I flew up to New York 3 times in April and May, and then the Duncan Awards were happening in early June, I believe. And it was just the people in New York. I asked them if I could pay my way. I wanted to come to the Duncan Awards to be a part of it and meet everybody, shake everybody's hand, and be part of the company. I had to get inside the fabric of Barstool, and I kind of went above and beyond to try to do that because it was win Dave, win Barstool, win the crowd. That's what I came up with.
Gladiator shit.
Yeah, and it worked. It somehow worked to a point.
Yeah, I mean, it clearly has worked. I mean, yeah, I know from my point of view, I thought it was a stunt. I thought it was a joke. Even a level of resentment of like, who could, another person could have used that salary, or that could have been a bonus or a raise for this guy, and this is just going to be, this one and done joke, and then all of a sudden you realize like, oh hell no.
But from your perspective and from everybody's perspective, when you're in Barstool and you're doing as many things as you do, you're doing as many things as you do. People get hired all the time. Somebody getting hired doesn't really make a big ripple in your world.
No.
It doesn't make a big, it's not until that person like keeps rippling that you notice them.
Right.
And that was what I was thinking.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, I don't think I can pinpoint, sometimes there's like Marty Mush, I remember, your esteemed colleague, your partner in crime at this point, he had a couple moments after he got hired with Barstool Idol that I was like, oh shit, that was funny. That wasn't just, because he was similar to me, like, all right, Dave knows gambling and I don't, so, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, this guy, he's openly talking about how dumb he is and silly, and then all of a sudden the bird comes out and a couple funny things come out, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, there's something there now.
So Marty's a funny story too for me because the first person I met at Barstool, outside of talking on the phone to Big Cat and Dave, was Marty Mush. Marty Mush came down. It was the weekend of Talladega, and Dave was doing Talladega and getting into NASCAR. Marty Mush came down to Mississippi to watch a NASCAR race with me. We were going to live stream our watch. And after the race was over, I took him back in the woods. We rode four-wheelers, and we did all these things. He met my family.
Did the country life, huh?
Did the country life thing. And we spent about 8 hours together that day, and we both knew this doesn't make sense. A New York City kid, or a New York kid, a Mississippi guy, but something was there.
Yeah,
like
that's
his humor, my humor, it just worked. We had the same interest, and we knew immediately that's what kind of hooked me into Barstool. I now had something. I now had something to explore.
Yes.
Get there and do as much with Marty Mush as you can.
I